The rise and evolution of the drive-thru. It doesn't matter what city you travel to, you will see cars lining the aisles of businesses placing orders for food, coffee, prescriptions, and tea like the HTeaO brand. You will also see cars lining drive-thrus at various banks where customers can conduct money transactions. The purpose of the drive-thru was to help people get faster service. Experts predict that 60 to 70% of all total sales come from a restaurant's drive-thru. So you would think that restaurants should go out their way to satisfy each and every customer that comes through their drive-thru. Drive-thrus have changed as a result of restaurants using technology solutions to increase sales. Businesses are investing heavily in technologies like digital menu boards, artificial intelligence-powered order takers used by checkers where customers recite their orders to AIs, and digital menu boards used by McDonald's and other fast food chains. Additionally, to keep customers happy and fed, busier fast food restaurants like McDonald's and Chick-Fil-A use a dual-lane drive-thru, but we will speak more about the dual-lane drive-thru later in this video. The strategies utilized by restaurants to draw customers are effective because 39% of consumers confess about using drive-thrus more frequently in 2019 than in 2018. Even with this popularity on the rise, just 20% of American restaurants have a functional drive-thru. After discussing the growth of the drive-thru, let's now discuss the roots of one of America's most popular services. However, the drive-in, a style of restaurant where patrons ate their meals on the premises without leaving their cars, arrived before the drive-thru. In the 1920s, where more people making money, there was a boom in auto sales. During this time, people loved going to the drive-in movies and eating. The Texas restaurant business, the Pig Stand, whose first drive-in debuted on a highway between Dallas and Fort Worth in 1921, is credited with popularizing the drive-in idea. Car hops, a type of service busboy who served burgers and fries on trays that clipped into the car's window, will meet customers as they pull into the parking lot. Pig Stand Number 21, a franchisee of the nationwide chain, started allowing vehicle drivers to order and receive bagged meals from a single window in 1931. You should be aware that Jordan Martin of the Hillcrest State Bank was the person who first thought of the drive-thru concept, not eateries. This banking institution was located in Dallas, Texas. He established the first drive-thru banking system in America, which other banks and establishments all over the world afterwards imitated. At that time, the drive-up teller only accepted deposits. This was done so that consumers carrying large amounts of money might avoid waiting outside. On the southwest intersection of Francesquito Avenue and Interstate 10 in Baldwin Park, Los Angeles, California, Esther and Harry Snyder opened the first In-N-Out Burger restaurant in 1948. The restaurant was the first drive-thru hamburger stand in California to take orders via a two-way speaker system. This was a fresh and original idea because car hops were used in post-World War II California to accept orders and serve food. One of the best drive-thru experiences in the nation is still considered to be In-N-Out Burgers. The two-way speaker system was invented in 1948 by In-N-Out founder Harry Snyder in his workshop. Thanks to this new technology, customers can easily place orders without stepping out of their cars or speaking to a staff member directly. So we must give them credit for coming up with the dual drive-thru and the idea of offering butcher paper to protect customers' laps from spills in cars. In the 1950s, there were again another enormous increase in the number of vehicles sold as 13 million Chevrolets, 12 million Fords, 5.6 million Plymouths, and 4.8 million Buicks were sold. As a result, more and more people sought to travel by car. Topsy's was owned by Robert Oscar Peterson, who founded the chain in 1941 when the drive-in format was becoming more and more well-liked, according to history, the deadly meal. In San Diego, California, in 1951, the restaurant's founder and owner relaunched his brand and opened his first Jack in the Box facility, initially specialized in drive-thru services. Peterson converted the structure of El Cajon Boulevard onto the drive-thru hamburger restaurant Jack in the Box in 1951. The drive-in restaurant was a hit due to its price and accessibility. In general, restaurant costs were decreased and revenue was increased by offering off-premises dining and laying off staff. In the 1950s, legendary restaurants like Mel's Drive-In and Bob's Big Boy employed car hops who were rollerblading, marking the start of the drive-in restaurant phenomenon's golden age and most recognizable incarnation. Throughout the 1970s, the prevalence of single-parent households, after-school activities, and working mothers who worked from home all contributed to the popularity of drive-thru restaurants. As a result, eateries around the nation added drive-thru windows to their establishments. By the 1970s, Wendy's was penning the history of fast food. In November 1970, the restaurant created what Wendy's now touts as the first modern drive-thru. Dave used to call it a pickup window and delighted in showing customers how to operate the state-of-the-art speaker system. The Wendy's drive-thru experience stood out because parking spaces were left free, allowing customers to consume their meals while seated in their cars. Before Wendy's added this modern function, which is still in use today, customers had to take their food and leave the location. On January 24, 1975, a clever franchisee made a hole in the side of his restaurant so that patrons could make orders while driving. This innovation ended the dominance of ordering at the counter, but it was only intended for the military. It is true that the first drive-thru was opened by McDonald's in 1975. Few military personnel were entering the Arizona McDonald's, so David Rich, the franchise owner, decided to increase security. The McDonald's and the military fort were both nearby, but base policy forbade military personnel from appearing in public while dressed in their uniforms. Rich came up with a proposal to install a window and place a worker there to receive orders. The Chicken Nugget and the Drive-Thru. The Chicken Nugget was created in part because restaurants frequently devised ways to improve customers' drive-thru experiences. Robert C. Baker developed the nugget in a Cornell University laboratory in the early 1960s. Baker was a culinary scientist who was often referred to as the George Washington Carver of chicken, but in 1979, McDonald's started using their own chicken nugget recipe. To aid consumers with their fast food experiences, automakers started integrating technologies into their automobiles. Businesses other than fast food chains were adjusting to the swift pace of society. For instance, built-in cup holders were mandated for all vehicles in the 1960s and 1980s. And in the 1960s, automakers redesigned their glove compartments to lay flat to support drinks. The absence of cup holders has prevented large families from acquiring a certain car. The Subaru Ascent made the ultimate effort to appeal to American buyers by including 19 cup holders. Easy to read menu boards. Let's get back to learning more facts about the drive-thru. 80% easy to read menu boards should be a top priority for restaurants, but 20% digital boards is present in under 25% of restaurant drive-thru. McDonald's have more digital menu boards than any other restaurant because 65% of all of their drive-thrus have digital menu boards, and the second restaurant on the list, Carl's Jr., has less than 30% of digital menu boards at their drive-thrus. In March 2019, McDonald's Corporation and Dynamic Yield decided to work together as McDonald's bought Dynamic Yield, a pioneer in personalization and decision logic technology. McDonald's refused to cede any ground to other competitors in the digital menu board market. By acquiring the New York and Tel Aviv-based Dynamic Yield, McDonald's expands its considerable technology expenditures for expansion. The purchase of Dynamic Yield was motivated by the fact that DY used artificial intelligence to customize menu boards with information about the weather and restaurant traffic. For instance, if it's raining, the digital board can show ice cream ads which might persuade you to buy dessert along with your meal. Due to the abundance of dining options, restaurants must devise inventive strategies to get customers to choose them. Since customers value their time greatly, a busy drive-thru is not a desirable sight. With the use of smartphones and 2 drive-thru lanes, restaurants are reducing wait time. Some restaurants like Chick-Fil-A employ 3 drive-thru lanes, while the majority of fast food establishments use dual drive-thrus, with 1 lane used for mobile order pickup for customers who have placed and paid for their meals. 4 restaurants, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Checkers, and Dunkin', have adopted this option. The rise of the second drive-thru. Even when restaurants have added a second drive-thru lane, research has shown that this does not speed up service. Because restaurants occasionally give mobile app orders priority, sometimes the customer experience is better when placing an order through the restaurant's mobile application. Customers feel the order process moves along more quickly. According to studies, clients who order meals through the Chipotle mobile app get it within 11 seconds. In order to help customers get their meal faster when Chipotle restaurants are exceptionally busy, its mobile applications will advise times to place orders. With a portfolio of almost 300 restaurants, Chipotlanes constantly perform with the highest margins. Therefore, they keep improving their restaurant design with options like the Chipotlane Digital Kitchen to best accommodate their expanding digital business. Some eateries have invested heavily in drive-thrus as a result of COVID-19. Fast food companies that were struggling to adhere to COVID-19 safety requirements for dine-in service, along with the rest of the service industry, saw a significant boost in sales during the pandemic thanks to the drive-thru lane. Since then, the drive-thru landscape in the U.S. have drastically changed as businesses like Taco Bell introduced novel ideas like multi-lane drive-thrus in an effort to increase efficiency and speed. According to a report by market research firm SeeLevel HX, drive-thru wait times grew overall between 2020 and 2021 by an average of approximately 26 seconds. That might not sound like much, but for a majority of fast food restaurants, many of which are constantly attempting to reduce wait times by a few priceless seconds, drive-thru speed is essential. Drive-thru visits climbed by 26% in April, May, and June of 2020, right around the onset of the epidemic, according to statistics from the NPD group, suggesting that a large portion of the responsibility may be placed on the sheer amount of consumers who have shifted to the drive-thru ordering. According to a November CNN article, that preference appears to have persisted. This means a lot more work for drive-thru employees. So how can you, a loyal fast food patron, do your part to speed up the process and make your servers and fellow drive-thru denizens' lives a little easier? Third-party food delivery services such as Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Madison-based Eat Street can help restaurant owners connect with customers, especially during COVID, but they also can cause problems when they don't have a restaurant's permission to list their menus. Due to a record-breaking volume of orders and driver shortages, delivery apps Grubhub, Uber Eats, and DoorDash have reported increased wait times throughout the pandemic. As states loosened their regulations, restaurant employment increased, but as of May, the National Restaurant Association reports that the sector still had 750,000 fewer jobs, or about 6.1% of its workforce, than it did before the pandemic. The distinction is being noticed by customers. According to the restaurant review website Yelp, customers reported short staffing 3 times more frequently in their reviews during the first quarter of 2022 than they did during the same time last year. Talk about lengthy waits increased by 23%. Restaurants are already under strain due to personal issues since the sector is already battling inflation and trying to make up for missed revenue because of the pandemic. High turnover has long been a problem for the restaurant sector as employees look for better compensation and working conditions, worry about getting sick, and struggling to obtain child care. The problem has only gotten worse during the COVID pandemic. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the quit rate for lodging and food services industries was 5.7 in May 2019, saw the beginning of a nationwide prohibition of new restaurant drive-thrus. This pattern was reversed by the epidemic. There were many factors at play, but an urgent environmental movement and a reevaluation of what constitutes a healthy community were the primary ones. By the end of 2019, Minneapolis, Fairhaven, New Jersey, Creve Coeur, Missouri, and Orchard Park, New York were among the cities that prohibited the development of new restaurant drive-thrus. In Canada, there are 27 communities that forbid drive-thrus. Then, in the past year, 2021, pickup and home delivery have flourished, while dine-in and counter service had to adjust to the new COVID-19 safety regulations. In other words, the better the dining experience, the more impersonal it is. Drive-thrus return as a result. 74% of Americans have used a drive-thru since COVID-19 arrived in the continental U.S., according to a report by mobile marketing firm Blue Dot, a 43% increase since April 2020. According to a National Restaurant Association survey, 90% of consumers would rather pick up their food by the curb than go inside a restaurant. When the drive-thru was invented, it required servers and car hops, but now with the power of technology, drive-thrus serve many purposes for customer and businesses' way of life. With the different phobias of monkeypox and COVID, people are relying on the drive-thru more and more. So it's safe to say that people will use the drive-thru for the foreseeable future. If you have learned anything from this video, then please like this video and then subscribe to our channel, as we will release more future videos.